So today I want to speak about transformation, as there's been a few shifts going on, and I just wanted to share that with you, and hopefully it may inspire you with your transition within spirituality. I'll speak to you after this intro. So welcome back, my name's Em, I'm from Karnak Holistics, where we learn together and we grow together in the sight of God. So I'm so humbled that you're here with me today, because I want to share something with you which is really, really, really important to me. And I wanted to take a break from speaking about the book, which is a source, so I'll return back to that on my next video. So today I wanted to speak about transformation, and what I felt was really important. You hear me or other people talk about transformation, shifts, and all this thing, and all these changes and awarenesses and steps into new directions. But it's nice to kind of see the change as it's happening, or be in a moment of what the feeling is and what the thought process is of that particular person going through it. And with me, it's been a conscious shift between doing tarot and more using my voice than being in a position to start doing sound therapy and meditation and teaching meditation. Now, it's really interesting because back in the day when I was first started doing this, going back years and years and years, between my early 90s, there wasn't necessarily courses for you to attend to do it. You knew somebody who knew you were good at it, and then somebody will have a room somewhere or have a shop, and you will go in and you just teach a class. So this time around, I was kind of dead against classes and qualifications and stuff. So I kind of got my qualifications more in areas that I wasn't so established in. So mine was more around coaching and mentoring. And that's what I really specifically focused on for the last 5 to 6 to 7 years. But however, I was quite well known to be able to do healing, working in spirituality, transformation, and things like that. So it didn't really impact me this time around. So what I felt was important was to basically bite the bullet and do courses in this. So what I did do, I'm a qualified master teacher in Reiki anyway. I've been doing that qualification wise since 2005. But today, the last couple of days, I've been really looking into sound therapy because I wanted to do the singing bowls in groups, because I feel there is this cosmic shift, and it is a vibrational shift that everyone needs to be ready for, and it is coming. And the best way that, yes, we can talk in one-to-one and, in groups, but I feel the real passion, there is an element of magic there, but there is also a magic in what people don't really realize. And that is the sound or the vibration. Remember, the earth is a frequency. It is built on a frequency. It's built on numbers. You've got which is a vibration, and it's a frequency. So as you see my videos from before, when I speak about the spiritual frequencies, in order to work with these different elements and your chakras and so on and so forth. But for me to really dig deep into it, I really wanted to really scratch the surface, if you want to call it, and get kind of a bit of paper to show I know what I'm talking about. Though I know I'm talking about because I do practice anyway. And obviously being covered with insurance and so on. So what I did do, I done sound therapy and teacher, and sound therapy healing, and I graduated in it. And there's this feeling as well that it helps me, or the person, kind of feel like you've kind of I want to say legit, I'll own that. that you're legit, that you are not just someone who you're telling other people, like when you get married, the best way to put it, though you've been dating someone for, I don't know, 10, 15 years, and you've got engaged, but you never really actually went out and married somebody, there's this kind of like final action to prove that you love the person, which at the end of the day, it's just a bit of paper in a way, but it's almost like like marriage, it's like you telling the world and you telling that person and your family and friends that this is the person I choose to stay with. Whether you believe in marriage or not, but that's the whole concept. Even though you both believe that you're going to be together and that you still go along and you stay together and you don't necessarily want to get married, but for you, engagement is the best form of action to show to yourselves and to others that this is the person I'm choosing and I don't see anybody else, because that's kind of like, if one gets close to you, you can say, look, I'm seeing someone or I'm engaged. And most people should back off. In reality, it doesn't really happen. So when you do some kind of qualification, especially spiritually, it's like you're telling the world and other people around you that you're a trainer, you're a qualified practitioner, and so on. Now, I've been doing sound therapy for about 15 years now, off and on. And when I do my work and I'm working with people, it necessarily comes into the actual session. So when I'm working with someone in a session, I will work with them, and then it may be for the fact is that I get them onto my couch bed and start doing Reiki or healing, crystal healing, Kundalini healing, or we could just sit and talk and spirit drives the actual connection and the actual session. So anyway, the reason why I wanted to record this video is because I'm going for this transformation, and I know it's a transformation because I'm coming from incorporating it being a massive part of my work, and it's going to be sound therapy, and not just sound therapy, it's also meditation. So though I've taught people meditation and I've run meditation classes and I've ran circles before, with this action, and it's like you're going out again telling people that who don't really know diddly squat that you are a practitioner, a certified practitioner. So when I graduated with the sound therapy, which I was so pleased about, I kind of like felt that there was the finalism to it, to like, I'm telling myself, whether people believe in it or not, or, in the fact is that you shouldn't really study if you're spiritual and all this stuff. But for me, I'm just talking about from what I know from myself. For me, it's a reassurance that I've committed to over 60 hours of learning and understanding, and kind of like, even you've done it, and a lot of people who've done this practice, they would know what I'm talking about now. When you've done the practice so long, when you're talking to somebody about it and explaining it, you kind of get stuck because you just do it. You don't necessarily go through, right, I'm going to close my eyes, put the protection on, then get into state. You just naturally do it. So when you need to really go back and explain what your process of getting to the point of working in a session, it really opens up and encapsulates the whole idea about how you do it and how you kind of like manifest into this particular type, into particular space before you do this session. And it's nice to know when I was doing the course and I was studying it and I was hearing the lectures because it's all online. It was really cool to hear, I was like, oh yeah, I do that, or I do that. And it was nice because the person who's doing it was saying, well, if you're a more seasonal person, or if you're a bit more advanced and you're just brushing up, or if you're kind of like just doing this as a refresher, you would know, blah, blah, blah. So there wasn't this, well, you're stupid, you don't know anything, and this is what I'm teaching you. He was making references to, obviously, people who have a bit more experience. So that was really cool, and that was more reassuring because this guy practiced for over 20 years as well. So for me, and the reason why I wanted to kind of record this video and call it transformation, and the feeling it's this feeling of that you're not being legit with yourself, because when you have, as I said, you've done it before and you've kind of been practicing, and you've done something called a exchange of energy. So if I'm a tarot reader, and if I was to work doing learn Reiki, so let me going on a course, somebody will teach me Reiki or whatever, and I will teach them how to read tarot or oracle cards or meditation or whatever. That's the exchange of energy. And that's where, that's why the whole idea about paying for your service, it's the same process. So the reality is like when I now done my exchange of energy, which was paying for the course, I felt really committed, and I felt that in a way you can hold your head up high and say, there's a bit of paper to show it because this person's been doing it before, and you can share with somebody else and rekindle what you learned years ago when you first started it. And for me, it was nice to know how to link the sound therapies, how to link it in again, how to kind of put the person at ease, because there was a lot of slightly different techniques which have changed because obviously new people come into this way of working. I don't want to call it industry because it's not an industry, but coming into this with different views and different ways of approaching it. And way I may do something, someone else may do it differently. And it was nice to get their view. It was really refreshing to see that, because when I'm working with that person, again, all of my sessions are driven by spirit, yes, but it's nice because spirit, I believe, obviously guided me to this actual course. So it was clearly they wanted me to kind of like up my game a bit. So it was nice to learn that. And I'm just finishing off a advanced meditation course. And again, I teach meditation, and I used to teach in a hospital in up in North London years ago. I'm quite known for doing that. Originally, I'm known for being an astrologer and for being a spiritual healer. I just fell into tarot by accident, and I've got known to do tarot because what I've done, I've linked my spiritual work, linking with spirit, to learning about oracle cards or tarot, and then linking them both together and being known as a clairvoyant medium. Clairvoyant is seeing, medium is touching on or connecting with spirit, and then putting them together in order to do the work. Some people just do clairvoyant tarot and don't do the mediumship. So if someone comes through, they don't necessarily pass the message over. Some people don't do the tarot and just do mediumship and don't necessarily talk about prediction, but talks about what Granny Smith wants to say. So again, going back to what I'm saying about sound therapy, really helped unblock a lot of channels that, because I work with the Kundalini energy, it helped me to now look at my approach in not just working with a client in that moment, but actually help balance the room in a different way before the client arrives and when the client leaves. Because obviously if you're doing work with a client and a client leaves energy about because you've shifted it, if it hasn't left the room or gone into another dimension or been taken away by spirit, I always say still cleanse your room and put it back to how your energy is, because you don't want anything to remain there. Other thing is to leave the room all ventilated, and obviously not seeing clients now because of lockdown. But what's important is even when you're doing stuff over online, you can still tapping into your psyche, and you're opening up yourself to see certain things about them that is going to being printed on your psyche. And it's been really interesting for the last 2 weeks, I think. Because for the last 2 weeks, I've not been sleeping very well. I've been getting loads and loads of messages from spirit. And I think I've been seeing different parts of the cosmos and the different parts of the realms that I've never really ventured to before. Or if I did, I kind of like touched on it. And a lot of it's been like the fourth heaven, the seventh heaven, and the other dimensions like the fifth dimensions and all these different things which are quite heavy and which leaves you tired and wiped out a lot, because obviously you're dealing with different energies and different kind of like entities in that sense. One of the other things which was quite prominent was a reshuffling all my guides. So we're sitting in kind of like a horseshoe now, then opposed to them just standing behind me, we sit in meditation in a horseshoe. That is very resembling so some of the work I used to do when I used to travel back to the days of Atlantis, when I was in this life form. And when I was in that life form, I would revisit it and how we would all sit in a group of and share common knowledge or knowledge. So that was really cool to see. And the other thing as well, dealing with using these other dimensions, you bring back not static energy. I don't know if that's the word. You bring back energy. I just call it energy because it's not static really. I bring back energy with me, and that energy, I need to try and channel it somewhere else, and I'm aware of it affecting things and people around me. For example, when I'm talking about it, and as I mentioned, these dimensions and obviously these parallel universes and all that stuff, and Atlantis and all that, I realized my camera just started going really funny. So because my psyche, my spirit kind of remembers the imprint of that energy now. The other part of it about transformation is managing what you see and sharing it with somebody that understands it or understands you, and doesn't think that you're going a bit crazy. Because as a spiritualist, there's a fine line between illness and reality and non-reality. because you feel, for example, you may feel that because you're seeing all this stuff that you're bigger and better and more important than everybody else, and you're not. You're just a servant like everybody else, here to do a job like everybody else. And just because you have a bit more advanced knowledge, it just means you have a greater responsibility. That's it. There's nothing fancy about it. You're not some kind of superhuman kind of thing. God's been blessed and given you an ability to see something more deeper down the line. It's like if I'm going back to gardening again, because I've been doing a lot of gardening, and again it goes back to, and that's another reason that helps me manage that stuff, is me working with the elements, i.e. plants, and also creativity. So I use that as an example. You having a bit more knowledge is you having a bigger shovel, and a bit more better shovel to dig the earth than the next man. So doesn't mean you're more important. It means that you just know that in order you're going to dig the ground better, you're going to get a bigger and better tool to do it. And so as I've learned all this, it's kind of like, I can explain it. As I'm learning stuff, I see certain things changing around me, and that's what you would see. You see things from a different point of view, because remember, say for example, you're standing here, I'm looking at the camera here. When you are looking at, I'm just thinking, that's why I'm gazing away. When I'm trying to feel what Spirit's trying to get me to say, or the collective is trying to get me to how to put it over. So say if like you're transforming, and you're going for this transformation like I am at the moment, or just at the end of it, but always transforming. But what I'm trying to say is, like, as you're going through these peaks and low points. I'll talk about the low points in a minute and how to manage those. It's like I'll be standing over here looking at the camera, and I'll just need to move the camera to face me differently. So it's just another perception. The other thing is that, let me talk about the downside to it, because there is a downside. And not learning to manage it properly is bottling all this stuff up, right? Don't bottle that shit up. Don't bottle it up. Have an outsource, whether you meditate and to clear it, talk to your guides, talk to a friend, find a guru to talk to, find someone who can understand what you're saying, and to kind of make sense of it. I'm kind of fortunate. I have my fiance, which I talk to about it, because she knows, but I'm somewhere else and I'm going through a block season of transformation. And she will go, I'll tell her stuff, and you can see on her face she's like, yeah, okay. So she understands it, but she doesn't get it, if that makes sense. But she gets it, but she doesn't. She understands it, but she doesn't get it. It's really hard to explain, but she understands what I'm saying, because she's known me long enough to understand what I'm saying, because she's seen my building. So it feels like I'm building a sandcastle. I'm building a goat cart, or I'm building something. She's been there as I'm telling her as I'm building it, so she can recognize it. But she may recognize, well, why are you using that tool? And I explain why I'm using the tool to do it. So she understands what the tool is for, not what the tool is about, if that makes sense. And the same with her. You know, it's the same way, two-way. But what's really nice is, like, she gets, you're not going, you're not losing it. You're just making sense of it. And that's the best way she explained it to me. She said it, which is really good to hear. It was that, I get when you go off and you have your mood swings and you're pretty quiet, or I'm really high sometimes, and I'm annoying, and sometimes I'm like a 5-year-old. I'm really, or 2-year-old, because I'm like one of my grandkids. I'm annoying, and you can see she's being really tolerant, but I'm constantly winding people up, because I have to go into you heard that child state, and I go into child state because I'm trying to, I have to be in that state to really understand it, but also be man state, and still function. And, but she just goes with the flow. And then she goes, I get that when you're thinking and when you're working things out. And then she'll just say simple like that. Oh, is it like da 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 da? And she goes, yeah. So I wouldn't go and say to her, right, I went off to Atlantis and I was talking to this person and doing that person, or doing this. I would say to her, I've gone to this dimension, and I won't explain what the dimension is about, because it's probably irrelevant. But I would say, I've gone to this dimension because I needed to learn to understand what, for example, with me, with this transformation, I needed to feel what the frequencies were like, and I had to become the frequency. Now, she doesn't need to know and feel what I'm talking about, but I explained that I am talking about, I'm becoming, I need to go off and become something. Hence why I may have been in a lower mood, because I was experiencing high and low frequencies. And I was really hypersensitive, so I was seeing things which is going to happen way into the future, which I'm not going to reveal, but I was seeing things going to happen way into the future, and things which were going to even imminently happen now, which has happened. And even seeing things which I know people I've not even spoken to for years, that I've seen that's going on with them, but again, it's not relevant. And a part of that is because you expand yourself like like you're breathing, yeah. So when you're meditating, you breathe in and you breathe out. So you need to breathe out in order to pull in all this energy, and then understand it, and then breathe it out again. It's kind of like your lungs kind of expanding and decreasing. And that's a part of it. So as you expand, you pick up these different things, like, again, like you're casting a net. And that's what transformation is about. And with that comes obviously the anger, the ups and downs and the lows. And what I can honestly say is, do things that you love, and do things you enjoy. Sometimes forget about it. You know, don't focus on it. Go off and focus on something else, because you sometimes you need to receive the information, but you need your spirit to process it with your guides, like with me and the collective. I received this information. I knew it was there, and I was disconnected, is the best thing to say, for about 3 days, not from reality, but from spirituality. I know it's really hard to explain. I'm still spirit, but from the practice. And then when there was something that needed to be addressed, obviously they would let me know and I'll be pulled back into it. But on the third day is when I returned back, just almost like a whoosh. I was back with all this information, and it all made sense. It could be a trigger. For example, when I was learning about sound therapy and the certain frequency or certain, like if I'm working with, I don't know, the heart chakra, and I'm using, I've got a heart chakra singing bowl, and I was really pulled to really work with it, and I would change things I wear, the way I dressed. I'll do heart meditations without me even knowing. I would activate the Kundalini, which I rarely do. And I would also sensitively, so I think that's a word. I would, as much as possible, put as much protection around me as anything. And that always means as well, I would go to the Creator and sit within his robes when I'm feeling lost or confused. I will bring some of the collective around and make them physically, spiritually, obviously sit with me and be with me, so that I'm feeling safe. And then I also could see, this is really weird when I say this, when it might sound a bit crazy when I say it, but when I'm out and I went for a walk or I went to get shopping, I would see certain people and kind of see what they've kind of done, whether it's bad or good. And I remember one time I was in Sainsbury's, I think it was, and I was in the queue, and I was walking up to the aisle, and I was going to go to the self checkout, and I was walking up to the aisle, and I had one thing in my hand. I can't remember what it was, and this lady looked at me, and I clocked her as I was walking up. She didn't see me. I clocked her, and I saw this lovely golden image around her. It was amazing. She was lovely. The older lady, but this white lady, she was engulfed beautifully in this white and golden energy around her. And as I walked past, I'm going by, she goes, "Oh, excuse me." She like called me over, and I said, "Yeah." She said, "Oh, come in the queue here. You can go before me." And I was like, "Bless you." And I looked at her and I smiled. I had my mask on, and I smiled and I said to her, "You're so blessed." And she goes to me, "Oh, thank you." And I goes, "No, you are really blessed. God bless you. You're really blessed. You got such a good aura." And she said, "Oh, something strange that someone said that the other day." And I think I was the second confirmation for her to be in a state. I don't know what was going on with her, but I know that she was struggling with her own self-worth. But I never said that to tell her that, but as I was telling her, I could feel that interaction. So stuff like that was happening. So when I went, I just kind of, as I said, just said a few prayers for her and saying, pass on positive energy for her, guide her, and bring the angels around her. And I walked off, got back to the car. She came out and she walked by and she waved. And again, my car, you can't really see me when I'm in it, but she distinctly knew who I was. But that was some of the amazing things that could happen. And what I'm saying is that when you're going through this transformation, be aware. People don't do that. And I really tell students, people I work with, be aware of the actions after. You see, be aware of your effects after your cause and effect. When you do something, there's always a effect. Be aware of your effects, and even just being there with people can cause the effect. And so many people forget that. So my transformation, and why I wanted to really encapsulate and really talk about this moment, because I've finished the course. I'm on it. I've got the start. I've got the beginning of it, and I just know it's going to build from there. But I just wanted to talk about this bit because I know a lot of people come on YouTube and talk about transformation and manifestation and blah blah blah, and they don't really talk about it in the moment. And I think when that person's in that moment, kind of like a diary, when they're in that moment, I really, really want to be authentic with the people I'm talking to. And my little community that I'm building for Karnak, I really want to be really authentic and really be able to, them to know what I'm about and what Karnak stands for, because Karnak for me is a temple. And I don't talk about the Egypt temple, I mean the temple within ourselves. So I may not be there with you now, in your room with you or wherever you are, but when you're seeing this or when you're thinking about it, you both go back to that temple. You kind of invoke me into that temple, or I invoke you into that temple. And this is why, like, when I say about comments and stuff, you get brought back there. And there was another part of it I wanted to talk about, was that I was really challenged with thinking about my journey and where I'm going to arrive at when I do this. And obviously, I've said in my last video, I'm going to be an interfaith minister. And that's a 2-year long thing I'm studying to do. But the important thing, what I wanted to say, was that where do I want to be, what it's going to be like, and what do I want to do after, what do I see myself as? Don't know. I don't really know. All I know is that Karnak is growing. Karnak is open and expanding like a lungs. Karnak is also extracting, and things are coming closer. People are coming closer. People are getting influenced and guided. Whether it's they are here or watching videos or I'm interacting with them. I get friends who say to me, I watched one of your videos the other day and I was drawn to blah, 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 what you said. And that's really nice to hear, because not about, you watched my video. Not about that. It's nice to know that the information we talk about, me and a collective talk about, is for humanity. It's not about me getting numbers and so on. It is about having a reference and me being a channel. Yeah. Hence why it's called Karnak TV, the channel. And I refer to this as a channel and a temple. So when we're talking, we're sitting in a temple. I see us sitting together in a temple, and that information is being passed through from spirit. And again, the one who sits, well, that's why I say, when we learn together and grow together in the sight of God, when we are learning in this video and we are growing together, we are in the sight of God. God is watching. He's with us and he's watching what's going on, whether you believe in a God or not, or you believe in the universe, whatever you want to call it. That energy is watching and seeing us grow. For me, that's how I reference that feeling, that being. That's how I call to, because that's how my relationship is with that being. And for me, there is no wrong or right answer about it, because you're going to be different to others. But what's key, which is kind of important, because I just turned to my side, I can see somebody standing here. What's key is that you owning your own stuff. And I know with my challenge was that I wasn't over a period of time, and that's what my block was. Yeah. And in order to go around it, and you can try to name it what you want and blame as many people as you want, but the shit lays with you. Your journey lays with you. What you do affects others. What you do affects you. So my advice would be, don't try and pin it on other people. Don't try and say this person's done it. You know what? You give them the power to do it. This is a part of the transformation. I'm talking about why I wanted to record this. And in an element, with elements, I should say, I didn't realize I was doing it unconsciously. I was unconsciously blaming people, even me now, and what I talk about, I was pinning things that I weren't achieving on people that were kind of like there to help me. but I kind of use them as my roadblock. And I have to thank obviously my fiance for that, but also my son. I'm working with him recently, and him kind of like helping me and saying, "We'll look at this way and what you've seen." And then in turn, I responded back to him with elements of why I've taught him about tarot, but it wasn't tarot, it's oracle cards, and why he used that, which he never really understood why I showed him that, as opposed to tarot cards. But yeah, anyway, what I want to say is, like, we all grow, and every day's a lesson, and every day's a learn, and every day's a result. So as we grow, we all grow together in the sight of God. And what I just want to say, don't be afraid to be wrong. Don't be afraid to be right. Just be happy to be happy. And if you're sad, be happy. But go through your sadness to come out the other end. It's all about transformation. Whether you see it, like it, don't like it, embrace it, it is about of growth. So on that note, I was going to say I'm really happy about the sound therapy. I hope I got across what I'm trying to say, because it is a really long video, I know. And I'm not going to apologize, because that's probably the biggest problem with people. They apologize for doing things that is abnormal from what they normally do. As long as it doesn't harm anyone, you know, be with one, don't harm none. Be a blessing to people. So I'm going to leave it there, and I'm going to return back to my next video with talking about the source. And there's going to be some more information about up and coming stuff I'm going to be doing, I'm working on in relation to a new book I'm working on. So be aware of that. And I won't reveal anything just yet, because I'm still in the process of tinkering a few bits and pieces with it. So yeah, stay blessed, stay safe, and I'll see you on the next video where we can learn together and we can grow together in the sight of God. And I'll see you soon. Stay blessed, and I'll see you soon. Bye. Thanks for listening. Bye.